Well, I hope you all enjoyed your lunch. We're now going to start a new session, try something a little bit different. We know that, by the way, I just want to thank the staff that served us. I thought it was outstanding. Let's give them a round of applause. Really appreciate their work and your service to us. Appreciate that. So we're going to try something a little different. We haven't done it our breakfast or lunch series. As we know, it's been lunch. I'm actually going to come down this level and just going to tee this topic up for about 3 to 5 minutes, but really want to hear your thoughts on a number of topics. We have some roving mics that we're going to be using. Really want to hear some interactive. I have some poll questions we'd like to ask you, get some feedback, and then hopefully leave with 1 or 2 messages and get you out of here before 1:30. But our topic for this next half hour or so is privacy, security, and trust. I think you heard some of those themes from Bill Vida. And how important this is for our businesses, how important it is for all the different sectors and the different panels talked about, the military environment, the National Guard, our government, our small businesses, our large businesses, our families, our nonprofits, our churches. Really, all of us use technology. And really want to just tee this up with a couple quick slides, really laying out, where is your data? As you think about this topic, about where your data is, you think about Facebook, you think about NSA, Twitter, Meijer.com, Walmart, state of Michigan. We showed all the video in the beginning this morning about all places the state of Michigan has your data. Amazon, we do all of our Christmas shopping at Amazon. If it's going to get mailed, the Lorman family uses Amazon.com. So our data is definitely there. The IRS, Kroger, Google, and really, you could probably fill in the blank and say my data is everywhere. Whatever you use for internet activity, for smartphones, whatever. And so, as we think about this topic, I'm not going to read you this definition, but more and more we're seeing this trend around data mining and sharing of data. And I will tell you, this is a good thing. I want to make sure there's a balance here. This is really the discussion in the next half hour. I'm not trying to say this is evil or bad. I think there's a lot of really good service. Like when you use Amazon, I know for our family, we use Amazon.com, and they recommend books, they recommend different things, they know my habits, they keep track of our addresses. It's very easy for me to send my mom flowers and Christmas gifts and birthday presents around the country. I have brothers and sisters in 5 states. And so it's all great. I mean, that they use that data to help us. Process used by companies to turn raw data into useful, powerful information. And certainly we're going to see that more and more with governments. We're seeing that more and more with businesses. Businesses in the room today are using our data and their data mining. And yet we've also seen the dark side of that. So with the good comes the bad. Google sued for data mining student emails. The study says that NSA data mining program stops terrorists. Ask the question, big data knows what you're doing right now. Data mining further shreds our privacy. So these are kind of some of the thoughts. And again, I'm just teeing this up, and then we're going to ask you some questions and get your input. But as you think about these topics in your personal life, in your business, in your student records, is it online spying or is it digital marketing? One person says one person says another. Is it helpful shopping tip or is it unwanted spam? We see that a lot at the state of Michigan. We see one person says, I don't want to get these emails anymore. They call into the help desk. They say, I'm tired of this. And somebody else says, stop this. I want to get my newsletter from XYZ College, Michigan State, Wayne State. So one person's newsletter is someone else's spam. So how do we deal with that? Finding terrorists or snooping? Public profile or private behavior? Thoughtful sales agent or weird stalker? Awesome customer service or prying? Can these trends mix, or are they oil and water? Those are the questions. So now as we think about that, I want to start with some poll questions, and I really want everyone in the audience, please try and answer. Give me one of the answers if you could. If you want to abstain, I guess you can do that as well. But how many of you are familiar, first question, with the Edward Snowden case? How many of you have heard the name Edward Snowden? I'd say almost everyone in the room. Hands down, how many have never heard of Edward Snowden? Raise your hand. One person. Okay. Well, in a national poll recently, 85% of Americans said, in a national poll statistically accurate poll. 85% of Americans have heard the name Edward Snowden. Second question is this. Should there be new laws to curb NSA surveillance activity? National Security Agency. Should there be new laws? Raise your hand if you think, yes, there should be new laws. I'm seeing, okay, hands down. Those who think there should not be any new laws. We don't need any new laws. Well, a little bit more. The national poll said 80% of Americans think NSA surveillance activity should be curtailed. I'd say we were about 70, maybe 65 in this room. What do you think, Leslie? About that? Okay. Number 3, do you believe surveillance helps to prevent terrorist activity? If you say yes, surveillance helps, raise your hand. Oh, I probably would say 70%. And the national poll said 50%. 50% said surveillance helps. And then last question on this slide, I'm going to go around the room and I want to hear your opinions as to why on some of these. Should internet companies cooperate with surveillance activity? Internet, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, should they cooperate with surveillance activity? Raise your hand. Maybe not quite half. 50% nationally said yes to that. Okay, we have a microphone. We're going to go back to the first question. I want to hear your comments, not just what I'm thinking here. Back to you. How many of you felt like that there should be new laws to curb surveillance activity? Raise your hand if you said that on that slide. Okay, right here. Can you tell us why do you feel that way? Microphone. You're going to be on the spot here.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on the spot, so I'm not going to stand up then.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
Well, from what I've heard, the NSA has been basically not really monitored as to what their as to what their everything that they're basically accumulating, all the data that they're accumulating. So I think there's a tendency for them, knowing that they're not monitored, and before Edward Snowden especially, I think there was it's natural to build up I think over the years a belief that you will never be monitored, and so you don't have to worry about, if you do step over the line, you feel justified to do it, of course, but you don't even have to worry about being discovered. And so I think the new laws that I'm thinking of would involve perhaps secret, but outside third-party, monitoring of what the NSA is collecting.
Great. Okay. Someone else? Great. Thank you for that comment. Someone else? Who else said agreed with that? 80% of the room said there should be new laws. Anyone else? Maybe one other person? Somebody know what's that? They know I'm going to have to talk with a microphone. Okay, right here. Why do you think there should be new laws, or what kind of laws should there be to curb National Security Agency surveillance?
I think, from my personal opinion, I would say that the NSA is free to get information from what kind of information that is agreed upon that they can collect or they can monitor or they can surveil, but the citizens have a right to know what that is, even if they don't have a right to know how, maybe the details of it, but they have some kind of right to know.
Great. Okay. Great. Thank you very much. All right, let's go to the next question. Do you believe surveillance helps to prevent terrorist activity? About half the room said yes to that. Who said yes? It does help. It helps to stop terrorism. Anybody over here? It's interesting. There's a divide in the room here. We got the right side saying yes. I don't see a lot of students sitting over here. Any students think yes to that? Does it help? I didn't see any. That's scary. No. Okay, stay over here, Leslie. You don't think it does. Who said obviously don't think it's, why do you not think it helps? Somebody over here? Somebody bold? Yeah, right here. Why does it not help? So, okay, so let's get the microphone here.
Surveillance detects, not prevents.
So what does that mean?
It means it can see something when it's happening, but it's not preventing things from happening.
It's not preventing things from happening. So if they get information in advance of somebody's plotting, I mean, I've heard the arguments on TV that, if we can stop one Boston bombing or one airport hijack or whatever, to get information in advance, like get an email, whatever, however I could get that, we could stop. So you don't think that happens? You don't think it prevents? It just, okay. All right. Anyone else over here? Yeah, go ahead.
Even if it does help possibly prevent terrorism, is it worth preventing one Boston bombing to burst into, say, 1,000 old ladies' homes, 1,000 old men's homes, and almost terrorizing the country's own citizens to try to prevent a single terrorist attack?
So you don't think it does, obviously?
No.
Okay. You
No,
don't.
I don't.
Over here, right here. Go ahead.
I disagree. It's I think that knowing that your government is doing something to prevent terrorism gives you more ease of living for those older people, for people that don't understand technology much, and for pretty much everybody that. It's a hassle, and it's an invasion of your privacy. But with what can be done with technology today and what's available to terrorists, you got to do stuff.
Okay, you think you do it. Anyone else over here? Why you think it is good? Okay, Joe. One more here, and then we're going to go on to the next question here. But Joe obviously thinks it does help.
So I liked scaring people in my presentation. So what everybody's worried about the NSA, but what organization, what type of industry knows more about you than anybody else? No, not Google. Your phone company. Your phone is beaconing to those towers multiple times every second. How does the NSA know that? Because they show up with a subpoena. And that phone company, by law, gives them anything that subpoena says that they're authorized. Right, gentlemen? Where's my FBI guys? There you go. All right? So I will tell you that surveillance does help. If it is legally constrained by subpoena, if it is legally monitored, I think that it's a good thing. I think that we do need to watch because, as I showed, the attack surface is very broad. And the people that we're playing against don't play by the rules. And so if you're not there, and I disagree vehemently with the young man who thinks that anybody who was injured in the Boston Marathon bombing was worth not kicking in a few doors, right?
General?
I know you're going to finish, but I think I got to speak up. I love Joe, but there's one thing that the National Guard's a little bit unique in that, and you use the analogy going back to Minutemen, in the beginning of early history. I say oftentimes, and General Vadnais carries a copy of the Constitution, that your National Guard lives the Constitution. We are not that our active duty brothers and sisters don't swear an oath to protect and defend the Constitution, but when it comes to states' rights, when it comes to Second Amendment rights, when it comes to First Amendment rights, most of your National Guard leadership are very well versed. When it comes to the Fourth Amendment right to privacy, absolutely unequivocally, we serve to defend the Constitution, including the right to privacy. So I think somebody else said it. The issue that I have personally, this is personal, not General Stone, but Mike Stone, is the transparency with NSA and the process that Joe just described and the subpoenas and the authority. So I think everything that we're trying to do in the unclassified cyber range domain and working with the private sector is to take down that veil of secrecy, and there does have to be strong constitutional protections that we're going to be very vocal about, and that's why Congress has not finalized a bill on this, because it goes to the core of our Constitution, and that's what this is about. So anything we do with cyber in the National Guard, we will not even come anywhere close to anything that would come close to the Fourth Amendment, violating anybody's privacy rights, and that's why we want to work public-private partnerships. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Real quickly, let's talk about the last question. Should internet companies cooperate with surveillance? The room survey was about, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to address some of those concerns really briefly, just as, obviously we work with NSA on a lot of things, and just to kind of correct certain misconceptions about what the whole, like the FISA court and all these sort of things are. and that there really is quite a great deal of oversight that, I mean, it makes it, a lot of the things in the media sound like, all right, this is a secret court that doesn't know what's going on, where in reality, if I'm working a criminal case and I want to get a Title III order or a search warrant to search somebody's email account, basically that involves me calling up my prosecutor, writing out an affidavit, and having that signed by a judge. In order to do the same thing on the secret court through the national security side of things, if I want to get that same exact content, I have to write up a much larger affidavit. I have to have it signed by my supervisor, my ASAC, my legal advisor in the field office, an assistant director at headquarters, a Office of General Counsel person at headquarters. Then it has to go to main justice, and then finally has to be reviewed by a federal judge. The FISA court is actually, I mean, these are sitting federal district court judges who review these and issue these orders. And so, just to say, I mean, that there is a great deal of oversight that already exists, and I mean, the most of this, I mean, the perception that the government is watching everyone isn't accurate. We are struggling just to find the resources to watch the really, really bad people that we need to, I mean, whether it be foreign intelligence services trying to compromise the United States, I mean, because these same powers are used to monitor these state-sponsored intrusion sets and foreign attackers. So whether it be terrorists, foreign intelligence services, all go through the same process, and frankly, we're at the limits of our capacity to just trying to keep up with the worst of the worst, much less trying to intrude on ordinary people's privacy all the time. I mean, we simply don't have the resources even to address the really, really bad threats.
Great. Thank you very much for that view. I appreciate it. And I appreciate, that's why we really want to have this conversation. And really, it's great information. I certainly really appreciate law enforcement's diligence in this. Let's take another poll. Move on here. What about your information? Who do you trust most with your personal information? I'm going to give you 3 options, and then we're going to take a vote. Do you trust the IRS, the National Security Agency, Google, or Facebook? Okay. You got to vote for one of the 4. You got to vote for one of the 4. Who do you trust with your personal information? Who trusts the IRS? Raise your hand. Nobody trusts the IRS. One guy. Okay, 2. We got 2. Okay, good. This is important. Actually, there's a point to this. I'm going somewhere with this. NSA. How many trust the NSA? Oh, wow. Very good number. I mean, I'd say, hold them up again one more time. It's all about 50% trust the NSA more than the IRS. That's okay. How many trust Google? We got 15%. What do you think, Leslie? 15%? Facebook. How about Facebook? I trust Facebook with my... Nobody trusts Facebook. I guess we trust NSA and Google, really. It's NSA and Google. We don't trust the IRS and we don't trust Facebook. Well, the national numbers, this was a national survey. Survey says IRS was 35%, was number 1. 35% of Americans said they trust the IRS most with their data. 18%, need my glasses here, 18% trusted NSA, 10% trusted Google, 5% trusted Facebook, and then that doesn't add up to 100, so there's a couple of others that are below that. We got to talk about this for a minute here. Who said NSA? Okay, somebody, can we pass the mic to some of these people? Why NSA? Somebody can tell us why they would trust NSA more than these other places, or the IRS, or Google, or Facebook. Somebody? I think right here.
Looks like you're volunteering.
Yeah, he's being volunteered. Go ahead.
Well, I guess I see more limits on the NSA than I do the IRS, because the IRS can sometimes become more political than the NSA.
Okay, great. Someone else? Or why did you pick any answer you did? Whatever you said. Give me any of the 4, just maybe why you picked that.
I said Google. It's because they're in it for profit. They want to keep your business and the small amount of information that they have on you. Most likely, I mean, they're not going to have your social security number. They'll have your address. They won't have your driver's license number. There's a lot there's not a lot of information that they really have.
So are you okay with them using that information they know about you to target advertising to you, to market to you? They know who you are and they know you like boats, getting ads about boats?
No, I'm not.
You're not okay with that?
No, and in most cases they ask if they can send it out.
Okay. So you like the fact that they ask you and then you can...
Yeah, and I say no.
And you say no, so that doesn't happen.
I don't like
Okay.
all the email.
All right. Someone else right here? Nope. Sorry.
I went with the IRS because they want my money.
They want your money.
They want my money.
So what does that mean?
Well, they're going to be very careful about making sure that my tax records are accurate with my social security number, my address information. They're going to be tracking everything that they need to make sure that I'm paying the right amount. Google and the NSA, they seem to be one and the same. I mean,
wow.
And
Okay.
everybody by default's Facebook. So.
Anyone else? Why they picked what they picked? Maybe one more? Just one more volunteer? Somebody over here? Okay, one more here. Go ahead.
I chose Google from the perspective that I can control what I put on Google versus what the other agencies can find on me. Facebook, I put nothing out there because I know where that information will go in terms of how people can get to it. And with Google, I can also put ad blockers out so I don't have to worry about all that extra stuff that's coming in from Google.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. All right, let's go to the next question. A couple more here. Who do you fear the most? Who do you fear would violate your privacy the most? Same kind of characters here. NSA, Facebook, or the Internal Revenue Service, or someone else. But those are the three that were in this national survey. How many fear NSA the most? Raise your hand. Just maybe a couple. How many Facebook? Wow. Okay. The majority, vast majority. And how many the IRS? It's like, we have no IRS auditors in here, so we're not looking for people raising their hands and then we'll see you in the back with the audit team. No, that's not the plan. There's not a hidden agenda with this discussion. I really just want to get your views. Well, let me just give you the national poll. The national poll said 36% said NSA. Facebook was 26%, and IRS was 18%. So those are the national numbers. 36 NSA, 26 Facebook, 18 IRS. Maybe one or two people, why you picked what you picked. A lot of you said Facebook. Somebody, why they fear Facebook? Maybe one or two people. I'm gonna have to draft somebody. Anybody, why they picked Facebook? Is what they fear? Yeah, go ahead.
Facebook is used by so many people, especially young people, that really don't understand what privacy really means. And once they post something on Facebook, it's available to everybody and forever.
Okay. Someone else? Anyone else? Any of the three? Why you picked whatever you picked? Somebody? Maybe one more volunteer? Somebody? Yeah, right there. Go ahead.
When you sign up for Facebook, you agree to their terms of service. You're basically allowing them to, if you read the fine print, do anything that they specify in that fine print. And when it comes to like the NSA, there are no contracts like that. All you have is the social contract between society and the government. So it's not really spelled out. You don't know what they can do, I guess, is what it comes down to for me.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Anyone else on this question? Why they picked what they picked? All right, just a few more. Next question. Is it worth giving up some privacy to obtain free services, a la Facebook, Twitter? So what we mean about this is a national question. Is it worth giving up privacy? So is it a trade-off for you? Is it, if I give Amazon the ability, for example, to have my data, to know more about me, and I tell them more information, like I go ahead and tell them my birthday, for example. But now I get a free coupon on my birthday. So I'm giving up some privacy. I'm telling them something about me, but maybe I'm getting a free dessert at the local Outback or what. I'm making that up. No, I mean, it might be, right? I'm giving you something. I'm actually a member of the Outback Club, right? They give me a coupon. My family went to Outback, and I got a free dessert for that, right? So I'm giving that information to Outback, and then you get a free dessert. Is it worth, how many say yes, it's worth giving up some privacy for free services? Depends on the information. I mean, obviously, I understand. I'm not saying unlimited. I'm not necessarily saying Social Security number. But some level of privacy, something that you view as private, I'm willing to give up some level of privacy if I get some service in return. Raise your hand. The majority, I'd say. And it's interesting. I'm seeing a trend in the sides of the room here as well. Again, the students seem to think yes. Maybe the government officials, not so much. Interesting discussion. Why is that? There's a couple people. Why is it? Well, the national poll, I'll tell you, 66% of Americans said yes, they would give up some level of privacy for some kind of free service. And I agree, depending on what. I may not tell them my mother's maiden name, you know, how much privacy are you going to give up? But somebody over here, why would they do that? Yeah, go ahead.
I just think that, well, given Facebook, for example, there's already how many millions of users, so clearly people are very willing to give it up, but they might not see the long-term effects. In fact, like they might say, oh, I'm just giving up my birth date, but I'm getting this. They're not going to think that, oh, they can link it to whatever else. So.
Okay, so would you do that yourself?
I do.
You do, okay. You do. So there is a trade-off there. Okay, yeah, right here. Clearly, we know this could be abused, but I'm just saying there's a trade-off. Go ahead.
We all do. I mean, if you've ever read anything on the internet, which I would wager all of us have, they can track the IP address you're coming from. They know who the referrer link is. They know things about you. You probably have cookies. You have traded some of your privacy in exchange for being able to access that information. And so asking if we're willing to do it, by our behavior, we've already shown that we are. You know, there's millions of Facebook users, blah, blah, blah. I give them a phony birth date, whatever. But there's metadata. There's information about me and my habits. I mean, that's really my concern with the NSA is not so much are they going to bust into my email. The question is, are they collecting all of my call detail records? If so, why? Was there a warrant when they did that, or did they just get the information and they're logging it for potential future use, which is undefined right now? And so really it's not about who I trust or who I feel is going to violate my privacy. Do I trust them to be able to keep all this data that they're collecting private in perpetuity? And I'm not a very trusting person, so the answer is no for me. But
okay. One more. Go ahead.
I think the NSA would think I'm pretty boring, but it's hard to function in today's world without giving up some of your privacy. You know, banking, you know, credit card. I mean, you'd have to be a strictly cash basis person.
We have a few of those.
Right, I know that. My dad was. But you know, it's hard to function without giving up some of your information.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. Poll, who do you trust the most to protect your personal information? The federal government, state government, local government. Oh, sorry. Last slide there. So we're almost done. We're wrapping this up in the next 5 minutes. One last question. It's the last poll question. How many of you, if you had to choose between those three, vote once, how many of you would choose the federal government? Raise your hand. One person. Okay. How many would choose the state government? Raise your hand. Getting more. I'd say maybe 40%. How many local government? Okay. I'm thinking state government maybe by a hair. maybe, probably 40, 30, not many federals. So some of you probably didn't vote there. Some of you may. How many said trust none of the above? Raise your, a lot of people. Okay, great. With the national poll, the state government was the highest, pretty substantially. Local government second, federal government third as well. My point of this, a lot of headlines around this. It's a hot topic. You say, where are you going? What's your point? I mean, I think the main message is really two things. Why, we wanted to be an interactive session. It's right after lunch. We just had a great lunch, so we know it's a time when the energy can be low and that kind of thing. So we changed it up a little bit today. But really, the goal here was show, don't tell. Think about your data on a personal level, on a company level, on a government level. Where is your data? What data are you sharing? How are you sharing it? Where is it? How is it being protected? I could show you a bunch of PowerPoint slides, and I could say, here's the 12 things you need to do, the 10 commandments of data, yada, yada, yada. That would be nice, but the goal here in this last 30 minutes was a discussion so you can think about your data and your family and your business and your student records and your government data and how we do it, and knowing what data you have and where is it and how is it being protected. Clearly, the Snowden discussion, I'm not, anti-NSA. Actually, I have an NSA background myself. But this is not in any way trying to knock or support Edward Snowden. I see good and bad with that. But clearly it's begun a debate in America today. This is a new discussion in the last 12 months. Really, less than a year ago was that all revealed, last June. And clearly there's a lot of trust issues. And yet in society, clearly we're having more and more data being shared than ever before. And this topic is about cybersecurity, and that's why this is a cyber luncheon series. But it is about trust. It is about privacy. It is about your data. And so on a personal level, taking this seriously, thinking about your data, your company data, your government data, and what's being done about it. So that's really why we wanted to have this interactive discussion and really appreciate the feedback and really going to take this to heart. And our hope is that through this process, that really you can go back and you can talk to your family, you can talk to your company, you can talk to your other students that you work with, and hopefully maybe think about this a little bit more as you head through the rest of this week and through these next couple months. So really, we're about ready to wrap up. I just want to thank again our panelists and everyone who participated. Let's give all the different speakers and panelists a round of applause. Appreciate that. I want to also just one more time read our sponsors, and unfortunately many of them, several of them are here, but several of them did not make the trip up. But we really want to thank them for all of their support, and that would be AT&T, Comcast Business, Deloitte, the Engineering Society of Detroit, Google, ITC, Motorola, Northern Michigan University, and Symantec and Unisys Corporation. Let's give them a round of applause as well. And for those that probably not in the room here, but maybe some of you in the room, but certainly those that are watching on the internet and others that may be seeing this in a tape-delayed session, we want to remind you that there will be 3 more additional luncheons. They're not all going to be the same. And even if you're up here in Northern Michigan or the UP, you want to see, I encourage you to go back to our website at michigan.gov/cybersecurity. You can also Google this event and get Engineering Society of Detroit's website. You can watch this in a tape delayed if you want to hear the sessions again. All of this will be available online in about a week or less. There'll also be the sessions that we're going to be having at the other luncheon series will be online. They'll be available to you all. So you certainly can go to those, and we encourage you to do that. And all these different programs are going to be different. They're not going to all be the same. Again, we tried something new here today. We'll see. Want to hear your feedback. There will be a link being sent to you by Leslie and Engineering Society of Detroit. You're going to be getting an email in the next couple days asking for your feedback. What did you like? What did you not like? We take those very seriously. We really want to hear, more of this, less of that. I like the interactive. I didn't like the interactive. I wish it was more of this. I wish whatever it is, we want to know your thoughts. And we really hope that you'll answer that survey. I want to remind everyone there will be 3 additional luncheons coming up. We're going to be having one in Detroit. It's going to be coming up in June. There'll be one in Traverse City in August, and then in Kalamazoo will be in September. So those dates will be at our website, again, michigan.gov/cybersecurity, one word. And we hope that you all will come, or at least watch on the internet, one of those other luncheons. We encourage you to do that. And with that, I'd like to end the program and thank everyone one more time, and thank NMU for hosting us. Let's give NMU a round of applause, and then we'll be on. Thank you all very much.